Your phone might not even have a SIM card slot anymore. And if it doesn't, you're already using something most people don't actually understand. In this video, we're breaking down eSIM versus physical SIM, not just what they are, how they actually work under the hood. We're covering the real mechanism behind how an eSIM profile gets onto your phone, the massive security myth almost everyone believes that isn't actually true, why eSIM has become the obvious choice for travel, and one honest downside that barely anyone talks about. By the end, you'll know exactly which one makes sense for how you actually use your phone. Let's get into it. Let's start simple. A physical SIM is a small, removable chip. You pop open a tray, slide it in, and it stores your carrier's information, your number, your account, your network credentials. An eSIM does the exact same job. The difference is where it lives. Instead of a removable card, it's a chip soldered directly onto your phone's motherboard during manufacturing. You can't take it out, you can't lose it. But functionally, it's doing identical work. Here's a myth worth killing immediately. A lot of people assume eSIM is somehow faster, or that it drains your battery differently. According to Apple's own carrier hardware GSMA's technical specification, eSIM uses the exact same amount of power as a physical SIM. Zero difference. Both formats use the same radio, the same modem, the same antenna inside your phone. The SIM itself has never controlled your speed or your signal. That's entirely down to your carrier's network and your phone's hardware. The SIM is just an identity card, not an engine. So if there's no performance difference, what's actually happening when you activate an eSIM? This is the part almost nobody explains properly. There's a chip inside your phone called the eUICC. That stands for Embedded Universal Integrated Circuit Card. Think of it as a secure vault built into your phone, capable of storing multiple carrier profiles at once, even though only one is usually active. When you buy a new eSIM plan, your carrier prepares your profile on something called an SMDP Plus server. Subscription Manager Data Preparation. This server builds your entire profile, encrypts it, and gets it ready to send. Your phone has a small piece of software called the LPA, the Local Profile Assistant. This is what talks to the SMDP Plus server and manages the download. There's also an SMDS, a discovery server, whose entire job is making sure your phone can find the right server to talk to, no matter which network you're currently connected to. Here's the important part. That profile isn't sent as plain, readable data. It's encrypted specifically for your eUICC chip, using public key cryptography. That means even if someone intercepted the download mid-transfer, they couldn't actually open it. Only your specific physical chip holds the key that can unlock it. So when your phone shows a QR code scan or a quick activation screen, all of that complex security handshake is happening in the background in a few seconds. Now here's the myth that genuinely needs correcting, because most people have this backwards. A lot of people believe eSIM makes you immune to SIM swap fraud. It doesn't. Not entirely. SIM swap fraud is when a criminal tricks your mobile carrier into transferring your phone number onto a SIM they control, sometimes a physical one, sometimes an eSIM. Either way, once that swap happens, they start receiving your calls, your texts, and critically, your two-factor authentication codes for your bank and email accounts. Here's the key detail. That attack targets your carrier's customer service process, not your phone's hardware. A fraudster calls up pretending to be you, using personal information they've gathered from data breaches or social media, and convinces a support agent to move your number. In some documented cases, the fraud specifically involves converting the victim's line to an eSIM with the same carrier, done entirely remotely, no physical access to your device required at all. So what does eSIM actually protect against? It protects against the physical version of SIM theft, someone stealing your phone, popping the tray open, and putting your SIM into their own device. That specific attack becomes impossible with eSIM because there's nothing to physically remove. But the remote fraud, the kind that actually causes real financial damage, works identically on both. The real defense isn't which SIM type you use. It's setting up a carrier PIN, enabling stronger account verification, and not relying on SMS as your only two-factor method.
Where eSIM genuinely wins, without argument, is travel. With a physical SIM, landing in a new country traditionally meant hunting down a local carrier store, communicating in a language you might not speak, and hoping they had stock. With eSIM, you can purchase and activate a local data plan before you even leave your house, then simply switch it on the moment you land. The global eSIM travel market is now worth close to $2 billion a year, specifically because of how much friction this removes. eSIM also makes true dual SIM setups far easier. Because the profile is just data rather than a physical object, many phones can hold multiple eSIM profiles at once, a personal number and a work number, for example, without needing a second physical tray taking up internal space. Now, here's the honest downside that almost nobody frames properly. If your phone breaks or gets lost, a physical SIM can be popped straight into a spare phone in seconds. No internet connection required, no customer service call needed. It just works immediately. An eSIM can't do that. If your phone is gone, reprovisioning a new eSIM usually requires contacting your carrier and downloading a new profile, which means you need an internet connection to fix your only way of getting an internet connection. It's a real, practical paradox, and it's the one legitimate scenario where a physical SIM still has a clear advantage.
So, practically, which one should you actually use? If you travel often, want the ability to test carriers without commitment, or want a genuinely more convenient dual SIM setup, eSIM is the clear better fit for how modern phones and modern life actually work. If you frequently swap between older devices, live somewhere with limited eSIM carrier support, or want the reassurance of being able to physically move your connection to a backup phone in seconds without needing internet access first, keeping a physical SIM as backup still makes sense. And regardless of which one you use, the actual security lesson from this video isn't about SIM type at all. It's about locking down your carrier account directly a PIN, stronger identity verification, and not relying on text messages as your only line of defense. eSIM and physical SIM aren't really competing technologies. They're the same core job, done two different ways, and now you actually understand the mechanism behind both. If you enjoyed this video, consider subscribing to Azxu Does Tech Stuff, where we break down complicated technology into simple explanations. See beyond the specs.